Fabrics here. We welcome you to our month of March, where we're going to be talking about our Year of the Designer. I am Sharon Thornton, and I'm also here with Debbie Stark. And behind the scenes, we have Brannon Johnson and Kristen Jackson, who are helping us along with this presentation today. We are coming to everybody monthly because we want to share with you all of our designers. We have designers who have been with us for a very long time, and we have designers that are new to us. And I am going to turn it over to Debbie Stark right now, who can talk about the designers, and then we will talk about the inspiration supporting the collections.
Thank you, Sharon. So we named this the Year of the Designer because we really are as much focused on our incredible portfolio of artists across the world as much as brand new artists that we're bringing to you for the very first time on fabric. So these are all coming to a store near you in August. And today we're going to talk about 2 new artists and several returning artists that all ship in August. So as Brannon takes us through the PowerPoint, we're going to talk first about the most infamous Kaffe Fassett, Philip Jacobs, and Brandon Mabley. And as we all know, Kaffe is the master of color. Is there anything more I need to say? And what a great photo of Kaffe on this presentation. We've got Philip Jacob and we have Brandon Mabley. Philip brings to us some beautiful, authentic botanicals, really high-end, detail-oriented florals. And Brandon gives us that nod of fun, excitement, and a little bit of collaboration that's the glue that holds it all together. So this is August 2025 that we're talking about today. And the collection consists of 48 SKUs in total. And I'm going to let Brannon pull into the actual pages of the fabrics that we're going to talk about. In this first, what we consider maybe colorway, it's the really cool colors of blues and greens with the little pops of pink. In the upper left-hand side, we've got Kaffe's recoloration of Roman glass. It is super beautiful. It's totally aqua in tone. And then moving next to that is Philip's new design called Rosemary, which Philip paints the art and Kaffe recolors everything. So as you can see, there is this harmonious movement of color across the page, whether we're looking at a Brandon print, a Kaffe print, or a Philip print. And then I just want to point out on this page, one of my personal favorites is Floral Connection by Brandon Mabley. And it's that really cool sort of pop art floral with the connecting lines. I think it's really very fun and definitely is the connection between all of these great prints.
It feels like Marimekko.
It does feel like Marimekko. I agree. And as we move into the next page, now we're moving sort of from the aquas back into the blues. And we've got Brandon's brand new design called Minnows. Again, eclectic, fun, very, very graphic, his work. I love it. And then across the page, we've got his new piece called Slice. And wouldn't that watermelon make a fantastic little girl's dress?
Oh, it would.
You've got some little girls to sew for, so
Yeah,
get going.
right.
And then below that, we've got Philip's new design called Spider Mom. Again, the colorations are beautiful, very soothing, and one flows right into the next. As we move to the next page, we're going to talk about more of our warm color palettes. And so in the upper left-hand corner, we have got Zipper Stripe from Brandon. And as you can see, again, very, very graphic. And diagonal in the bottom right-hand corner is the black and white version of Zipper Stripe. And we all know how much we love Brandon's onion rings. So I think this is right up there with how successful and usable this particular fabric will be. And of course, down below on the left-hand side, we've got Philip's new Alpines. Again, beautiful coloration. It mixes some of the warms and the cools, and you can really start to see a quilt develop here. On the next page, we've got the absolute very warm palette. Again, upper left-hand corner is Philip's Alpines. Next to that, we have Kaffe, who recolored one of his original designs called Lake Blossom. Really earthy in the background, and then the pops of color in the floral is beautiful. And next to that, holding it all together, and the connection is Brandon's Slice of Watermelon. And without further ado, the next colorway that we've pulled together is all of our really warm pinks and some of the yellows and the hot greens. And we've got another coloration of paperweight from Kaffe in lavender. And then next to that, we've got the gorgeous Tibetan peony from Philip. You can just almost smell those flowers. They pop right off the fabric.
Beautiful.
And another favorite is the bold leaves in the far right corner. And last but not least, we've got a really moody, great colorway. It's super deep and saturated. I just love the coloration of this. It feels like, you know, it's sort of that one sort of off color palette that Kaffe puts together that I find so exciting. And we've got those great minnows in the upper left-hand corner. Below that, we've got Rosemary, another new print from Philip. Across the page, we've got Zipper Stripe from Brandon. And again, it's just that graphic, very geometric design that kind of is the resting spot amongst all these other beautiful, beautiful, luscious florals. And last but not least, on our last page, we have got 3 brand new quilt backs to introduce, all printed on 300 cotton sateen. It is a gorgeous fabrication. In the left, we've got Becca from Philip Jacobs. In the middle, we have a new colorway of paperweight by Kaffe. And on the far right, we've got Van Gogh, another new piece of art from Philip. Just love the richness, and it really rounds out the color assortment we have available in all of the quilt backs for Kaffe, Brandon, and Philip.
Pretty. Okay, next slide. Alrighty, so as Debbie just brought everybody through the collection, which is quite beautiful, 48 SKUs. I know that as makers, we're always very excited with Kaffe's beautiful, I like to refer to it as a crayon box. He gives us so many colors to work with. Kaffe, Brandon, and Philip, of course, from the collective. But with Kaffe's colorations, I mean, there's just so many colors to choose from, and we can get excited every single time we're offering a new collection. So these quilts right here are primarily, except for one that we'll be showing you in these slides, are done with pre-cuts. So the Great Fences quilt there on the left, there's 2 colorways, and both of those quilts are used using design rolls in order to make both of those quilts. And then the one on the right is using design rolls and 5-inch charms to make both of those quilts. But you can see how beautifully that all the colors play together as a pre-cut in the center of the ones on the right, and then those beautiful florals for the borders on the quilt on the left. I'm sorry, on the right. Next slide. Okay, so the Magic Squares quilts, which are on the left, are made with design rolls and yardage. And again, you can just see, you know, how beautifully all of the colors are playing together. You've got the nice cool quilt on the far left. You've got a hotter quilt there sitting next to it. And then the quilts on the right are called Balls in the Air. And those are made with fat quarters, and they do look like balls in the air. But you can see, you know, the fabrics are showcased so beautifully in both of those, all of the quilts, but certainly Balls in the Air. It's a fun quilt. Would be great on a kid's bed or teens room, anything like that. Those quilts would be a lot of fun. So the next slide. We have done Starstorm quilt on the left. That is a pattern that is designed by Victoria Finley Wolf. We recolored it here at FreeSpirit Fabrics in Kaffe's collection, and just a whole different presentation on how well the colors look and play together. All of these quilts are using this collection of the 48 new SKUs. And as Debbie said, you know, a few of these are recolored, Kaffe's recolored of designs that he already has, but you can see how pretty, like the center of that star as it comes out. Just the colors are just fantastic, all working together. Then the quilt on the right is called the Dottie quilt, the 2. It's done in cool and warm. And this is made with 10-inch charms, and similar to the one in the previous page, Balls in the Air, just showcases the fun of all of these SKUs in the collection. So again, 48 SKUs, and this is shipping in August of this year. Okay, so next slide.
Next, we're going to talk about an artist who's been with us for a little while. His name is Seth Apter, but many of you may not be familiar with Seth. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about him. He is a mixed media artist, instructor, author, and designer from New York City. He came to the world of art later in life, transitioning from a full-time career as a psychologist to being a full-time artist and maker. Seth's artistic practice is based on the concepts of community and collaboration, and he believes in the power of art to bring people together. His work has been exhibited in multiple exhibitions and can be found in numerous books and national magazines. Seth himself has also published 2 books of his own, and as a designer, he has created collections with many companies over the years, including Impression Obsession, Stencil Girl Products, Spellbinders, Emerald Creek Craft Supplies, Wow, Adeline, and Paper Artsy. Seth is such a pleasure to work with. He is such an artist and really a great collager. We love his work and are always so inspired when we get to work with him on a new collection. And this collection is called On Your Mark, and it's about making your mark, literally and figuratively. In Seth's mind, a small detail can often make a big creative impact, and he highlights this all in 16 designs. You will find marks in the forms of symbols, letters, drips, splats, lines, color swatches, and the like. While these have personal meaning for Seth, the beauty of an abstract mark is that each can mean different things to different people and makers. His hope is that these designs enable you to create something that is all your own and makes your mark in your own creative world. So this collection, as you can see, is super saturated. It's more earthy tones. I always like to refer to some of Seth's work as more gender neutral. It makes a great quilt if you're giving for a gift or making for your husband or your son or your nephew, or even as a bridal gift. It's something that's a little more neutral, kind of goes in everybody's color palette. It's definitely very home dec oriented. I love the designs in all of this. In particular, page by page, which is in the second column from the left, the saturation and the different levels of color and saturation is really, really beautiful. We've chosen to print Seth's work digitally because of the endless color. You can't capture all the nuances of his collaging and his designs and his lettering and his layering by cutting screens. There are so many limitations. We can only get 18 possible colors in a print, whereas this, you can see we've got numerous, too many to count, quite honestly. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the design here and now, where you see the words, and maybe you can't if you're watching on your cell phone, but there are little prints of his typography called Here and Now. There are interesting little black marks. There's all kinds of things that make it very unique, regardless of the piece of the fabric that you cut apart to use for your piecing or applique. Moving across the page, in the middle section is Landmark, and that is really a collage of various pages and papers he's created. So again, just a great, unique story. I love the highs and lows in that design. And then in the bottom right, it's kind of calling me a liar. It's not so gender neutral. It's called Tracks, and it's in this really warm, earthy orange, pink, corally colors, but it's really beautiful, and it really highlights some of the colors you see throughout the rest of the collection.
That's great. So next slide, Brandon. So as you can see from what Debbie just talked about with regard to the collection, it's a very cohesive collection, and it just works very, very nicely together. So these 2 quilts were designed by Marcia Owen from Cotton Street Common, and the one on the left, you know, very contemporary. Actually, both of these quilts I would deem as being more contemporary, but as Debbie previously said, I mean, they're very gender neutral, which these would be fantastic. I mean, you could make these quilts and you could throw them on a couch and they would look great on a leather couch in your home, or you could certainly be making them for your favorite man in your life. I mean, they fit wherever you would like.
Absolutely.
They'd be great in clothing, men or women. They'd be great dresses. A lot of these designs would be beautiful in women's clothing, as well as, you know, some men's shirt, you know, children's overalls or dresses or anything like that. I mean, the collection is very, very nice. And you can see from both of these quilts how beautifully all of the colors and everything plays together with this.
It's definitely a very versatile collection.
Okay, next slide.
So here's one of our new artists we are introducing. This is Kirsten Katz, and the designer is the personification of our values at FreeSpirit Fabrics. Each designer has a style and talent that adopts FreeSpirit as its canvas. welcome this new artist to our family, and it's Kirsten Katz from Australia. She's an Australian artist and designer well known for her modern paintings and botanical art. Based in Sydney, she brings the beauty of flowers and the natural world to life through elaborate, hand-painted designs characterized by bold colors and stylish florals. Kristen's art can be found decorating the diverse range of products from stunning textiles and home decor to stationery, wallpaper, and accessories. Inspired to create timeless pieces that enrich everyday life, Kristen's art and floral-themed designs are crafted to bring lasting joy and beauty to the world. So as we flip through the side and get into Kirsten's first collection, it's called Paradise Blooms. Again, ships in August of 2025. It's a nice tight little collection of 16 SKUs, and you'll see just how stylized her art really is. From the beautiful wild blossoms in the second column at the top with that beautiful soft blue ground, to this really packed sugar bush splendor in the upper left-hand corner. I just think her art is so refreshing. Her color palette is so interesting. It's bold, it's exciting, it's different, but it's very workable. You can cut apart these fabrics and create just incredible texture, or you could grab the flower and applique it. If we move across to the upper right-hand corner, you'll see what's called, oh gosh, I can't read that small, Bansky Trail. And it's like, oh, I'm going blind. Bansky Trail really creates this great vertical stripe that you could cut apart and use as borders. We find some of that really, really interesting to use. And then, of course, we've got this great blue and cream color garden trellis in the middle of the page that, again, just sort of anchors it. Wouldn't that make a great binding on a quilt just to give it this graphic cleanliness? We've got the tonal floral in the bottom corner, just off from the right. And then we've got this beautiful, beautiful garden in the bottom right, which is all kinds of luscious, beautiful sort of abstract florals. Just think it's really, really pretty.
Very pretty. Next slide, Brandon. Okay, so these are the two quilts that we developed using the collection. And again, a great, another collection that's just very cohesive. All the colors work really nicely together. And so we have the quilt on the left is Jennifer McClanahan from Sweet Tea Pattern Company, and the one on the right is Lisa Alley from Bear Hug Quilt Works. And you can see that one has, you know, the one on the left has more neutral colors in the background and really makes the collection pop. And then the use of the black and white for the binding really pulls this, you know, pulls the whole quilt together. And then the one on the right is, you know, we've introduced a little, there's already blue in the collection, but the blue comes a little bit more forward with the way that we're putting it in the corners of those blocks. And again, both of these quilts are showing the collection very nicely. You can see, you know, cut up, how nice this is going to play together in almost any piece that you choose to make. Again, you know, these quilts would be fantastic for beds. These prints would be great for clothing. You know, young girls, it'd be great for pillows. Any home deck, you know, if you're going to make one of these quilts, you could certainly do dust ruffles and pillow shams and all of the things that go with bedding. Very, very nice, fun collection. So next slide.
Great. And I highly recommend following these artists on Instagram. They have a great presence on Instagram, and you can see the breadth of the assortment of products that they offer in addition to fabric. So you can take it to the next level. I think it's really important to think about that. And next we've got Maria Matos, and Maria is another new artist that we are introducing, and her collection will ship in August of 2025 as well. Maria is very much inspired by the golden age of illustration, late 19th to the beginning of the 20th century. Her illustrations establish a bridge between this heritage and a more delicate, feminine, and contemporary personal approach. Recurring themes are the representation of female figures in a fantastic universe, strongly inspired by traditional fairy tales, framed with fauna and floral with complex and detailed patterns. So you can see it's very ethereal, it's very feminine, it's very beautiful. And for her first collection called Nocturnal Creatures, Maria is very much inspired, as we said, by the golden age of illustration. This is a big passion of hers for illustration and in the painting process. All of her illustrations are handmade, and watercolor is her technique of choice throughout this collection. The whole process can be quite long, although she is quick and effective. It's a meditative process where she allows herself to make mistakes and work with them. And you can see when we turn to the next page, Brandon, and we'll turn one more page, you'll see she makes it look so easy, but oh my gosh, the attention to detail and the delicate line work and all the things that play into this beautiful collection. I'm actually going to ask Brandon to flip to the next page because I don't think that this overview really gives the collection justice. So as you look at this first piece, it's an ongoing block, it's running yardage, but each block is so unique and has so much detail, whether we're talking about the pink butterfly in the upper left-hand corner or the red little bug in the bottom row. And then we move over to this really interesting beetle in the far right, which is very much a more autumnal. So you can see how we've got spring running into summer with the blue butterfly, running into fall with that nocturnal sort of colorway and that insect. Just super, super beautiful. And you can cut apart each one of these blocks to create your own blocks without doing a lot of piecework.
Mhm.
So we've made sure we've allowed enough space with the black in between each so you could create the block.
Nice job.
Oh yeah, with a lot of help from my friend. The next page, we're going to look at Blossom Moth, which is an all over gorgeous design on this beautiful rich red. And we don't use a lot of red in our lines.
Mhm.
And I think this one is really beautiful, and it captures that butterfly meandering its way around these beautiful florals and some of the fauna in the background. So really sweet, very beautiful. The scale is incredibly workable for quilting designs. And we're going to move into the next one called Night Garden. And while we call it Night Garden, I really feel like it's very spring-like with the daffodils and the beautiful yellow flowers and those soft blue flowers in the background. But I guess we could talk about this as being our daffodil garden in the night.
Yeah, that's
Really beautiful, just an all over, super gorgeous. And then the next page is Japanese beetle. And this is where we talked about that really autumnal sort of color palette with the beetle, but you can see the pops of the red petunias. I'm going to call them petunias.
Yeah, they do look like.
And the beautiful sort of rich, luscious autumnal posies that we see throughout. Again, on a black ground, making it very dynamic, very saturated, and really beautiful. And next we've got Silk Moth. And again, this is another block print where you can cut it apart and create your own mix and match from the first design to this design. Or you could just really kind of whole cloth quilt this if you wanted and just put some borders on it and call it a day. So very, very lovely. And last but not least is our all over moths and beetles. And I just felt like it was really important to talk about each one of these designs because there's so much painting and work and watercolorations that go through these designs. And here we've emulated those major icons with the beetle, the butterfly, and it's all pulled together again in a very tile-like design.
That's really beautiful. Perfect. Onto the quilts. So the collection is, Debbie just shared with everybody, very beautiful collection. The detail in all of these design elements is very, very nice. The quilt that's on the left is called Elegant Wings. It's designed by Stacy Day. And you can see in the center of the blocks of that quilt that we've cut apart the blocks, one of the first slides that we had looked at. I wish it was easy to tab back, but it's not. So Brandon, I won't ask you to do it. But then, so you can see how it's used in the center of these. The other designs in the collection are used around those blocks. And then you can see in the border that I think it was the last design that we had just shown is used as running yardage. And yes, you could cut it apart into small squares, but you could, in this example, you can see how it's very effective in its use in the border on this particular quilt. And then the quilt on the right, also designed by Stacy Day, is called Silk Road. There's been a lot of interest in this particular quilt. And if you look, it's kind of hard to see, but the one of those other designs that Debbie talked about is cut apart. And Brandon, can you just do a little swirl? Yeah, right, exactly, right in there. where you can see that that particular fabric was cut apart and its usage. You take a little bit of the work out of it. As makers, it's always nice to have the fabric do a lot of the work. I mean, we love to quilt and cut fabric apart, but it's also great when the fabric's already doing a lot of work for us. And in this example, it is doing exactly that. Again, other pieces from the collection are supporting the design elements in this quilt, and then the border on the outside of this quilt is quite pretty. It was the red that Debbie talked about earlier as well. And, it's just, again, collection overall feels very cohesive. There's some beautiful butterflies, bugs. You could even use the bugs, it's kind of a stretch, but for those makers that like to do like a bug jar quilt or something, I mean, the bugs in this are really, make something, make one of these beautiful quilts, but if you have any scrap, you could certainly be using some of those bugs in a bug jar quilt. So there's a lot of different ways that you could use this. You could be making garments or bags for little boys. You could be doing it for little girls. Again, there's all the things that I know that you all already know and create with, but there's so much to this collection that you should definitely give it a hard look.
Great.
So is that it for
That,
today?
I think, is it for today, Sharon. We did much better on time than last
We
time.
only had 4 designers to showcase today. So we thank everyone for joining us today. I don't know if there's any questions because I left my phone on my desk.
Oh.
So Brandon, do you know if there's any questions? Did Kristen or anybody communicate any? So I apologize for that, but I don't know if there's any questions.
And I'm trying to log in real quick and see.
Okay. And but again, just to wrap this up, we want to make sure that you know that the 4 designers that we showed today are shipping this August to quilt shops. So if you are a quilter and you would like any of these collections, please reach out to your local quilt shop and tell them that you saw this and that you definitely would like them to buy into any one of these collections. If you're a retailer and you would like to purchase any of these collections, make sure that you either go to our website, freespiritfabrics.com, or you reach out to your local sales rep and place your order. They're all shipping in August, so we will be ordering these collections very soon. So you want to get to it.
That's right. Don't want to miss out. They're really beautiful.
Right. Now, we do also have a random giveaway. It's going to be a fat quarter pack of we don't know what, but FreeSpirit
It'll be a
has,
surprise.
right, FreeSpirit has gorgeous fabric, so you will not be disappointed. And we would like to know which of the designers today was your favorite. So just let us know which one. There'll be a random drawing and there will be a random fat quarter sent to you. So pay attention to your messages because Kristen will be messaging you if you're the winner. Again, reach out to freespiritfabrics.com. Go to your local quilt shop. Let her know that you saw something today that you'd love to have her bring into the shop.
And it doesn't look like there are any questions, but it does look like Karen said they're all fabulous. So thank you, Karen. Yeah,
They are all fabulous.
They are fabulous.
It's hard
and
for
all
us.
of our designers are amazing. So we highly encourage you to enjoy and create your own special quilts and projects with all of our FreeSpirit fabrics.
Exactly. And we will be back next month. We intend to do one of these every single month.
Mhm.
So when we come back in April, we will be showcasing the collections that'll be shipping in September.
Correct.
So please look for Debbie and I and Kristen and Brandon. We will be back early April. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thanks for all the support. Take care.